Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. I will now call the December 7th public hearing to order. Mrs. Comas, as Corporate Officer, would you please introduce the public hearing process and the first item on the agenda, Bylaw 1492.2.
Yes, Your Worship. The Local Government Act requires that a public hearing be held before a council adopts an amendment to the zoning bylaw or official community plan bylaw. Copies of the Director of Community Planning's reports and related information respecting the subject amendment bylaws have been available for public examination at the offices of the Planning Department in Parksville Civic and Technology Center and on the City's website. At this public hearing, all persons who deem their interest in property affected by a proposed bylaw shall be afforded an opportunity to be heard on matters contained within the bylaw. Anyone wishing to be heard on a specific bylaw amendment must come to the microphone at the appropriate time and clearly give their name and civic address. The Council members request that speakers restrict discussion to the application on hand, which is the proposed use of the land. Members of Council may ask questions of persons after they have made their presentation. However, the main function of Council members this evening is to listen to the presentations and not to engage in debate. Whether you are for or against any particular bylaw during the course of a public hearing, Council would ask that you not display any outbursts as a courtesy to all present this evening. No presentations or submissions will be received by Council on any application after the motion for termination of the public hearing for that application has been adopted. Lastly, when a public hearing item has been terminated, Council requests those persons wishing to leave the Council chamber do so in a quiet and orderly manner in order that the public hearing may commence with the next item on the agenda. Your Worship, the first item on the agenda this evening is Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2015, number 1492.2. The purpose of the proposed amendment is to amend the general land use policies by revising the provisions that allow for the consolidation of the city's zoning bylaws so that equivalent, similar zoning designations may be used. There have been no items of correspondence received in response to this proposed amendment bylaw.
Thank you. And so for the first time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak regarding Bylaw 1492.2, please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. For a second time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak regarding Bylaw 1492.2, please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. For a third and final time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak regarding Bylaw 1492.2, please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. Seeing no one coming forward, I will now ask for a motion to terminate the public hearing for Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2015, number 1492.2. Moved by Councillor Oates, seconded by Councillor Beale. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. The next Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw is 2015, number 2000.101. Mrs. Comas, once again as Corporate Officer, would you please introduce the second item on the agenda, Bylaw 2000.101.
Yes, Your Worship. The purpose of the proposed amendment is to consolidate the Resort Area Zoning and Development Bylaw number 1509 with the City's Zoning and Development Bylaw number 2000 into one Zoning and Development Bylaw. Two items of correspondence have been received in response to this proposed amendment bylaw, both from Rascal Trucking of 1080 Industrial Way in Parksville, expressing opposition to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment.
Thank you. For the first time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak to regarding Bylaw 2000.101, please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. For a second time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak regarding bylaw number 2000.101 please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. For a third and final time, I will now ask that anyone in the gallery who wishes to speak regarding bylaw 2000.101 please come forward to the microphone and give their name and civic address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I will now ask for a motion from Council to terminate the public hearing for Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2015, number 2001. Do I have a mover? Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Greer. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That is carried. Before we adjourn this public hearing, I would like to note that Council cannot entertain further submissions or correspondence from the public on the proposed bylaw. Do I have a mover and a seconder for adjournment? Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Beale. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. That is carried. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the